authority on that land.
Honest man, honest
I'm an honest man.
Chucky Arla!
There's an awful lot of talk in society about how disinterested youth are, how apathetic they are, how they don't care about society, and then, you know, you finally get a lot of young people who care about society and you lock them up.
So where does this leave the jailed protesters? They can either go back to the courts and agree not to interfere with Wicklow County Council's work in the Glen of the Downs, or they can decide to stay here indefinitely. Colin O'Callaghan, RTE News, at the Women's Prison in Mountjoy.
I fasted one day so that I wouldn't get into this routine thing that they've got going on there. And it's like the routine of not just doing things, but the routine of how to think. Do you know, understand what I'm saying there? Like the hidden curriculum, have you heard of that? In school, they say that you go into school to learn French, German, biology, but also there's the hidden curriculum, which is like to sit in rows in front of the teacher, to leave when there's a bell that goes ding, 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 you know, to call the teacher sir, really to become a scared to death conformist.
Nine eco-warriors who were imprisoned last week for contempt of court have been released by the High Court after promising not to interfere with Wicklow County Council's work in the Glen of the Downs. 4 other protesters remain in prison.
The 9 protesters gave the oath to stay out of the Glen of the Downs after accepting an offer to appear on one of Ireland's most popular late-night talk shows, The Late Late Show with Pat Kenny.
We felt it was a glorious photo opportunity to punch home a message.
Tonight we're going to tell the country that this government is corrupt, completely and utterly corrupt.
We welcome please Lisa O'Neill, Lorraine Murphy, Una Ní Bhrinn and Dermot Moynihan. Can it be fairly said that you've lost your war, your eco-warriors who've lost your particular war?
I think realistically speaking, Pat, we have the moral high ground here.
But the road's going to get built.
Regardless of whether the road is built or not, we still have the moral high ground. We have created so much awareness.
Yeah, you see, it's probably added 16 million quid to the bill for that road, isn't that? About that? Is that the estimate?
That's what we've been told.
Okay, half of that has to come from the Irish taxpayer.
We're doing this for the Irish taxpayers' children. This is what we're doing it for. It's not just for us and the fact that we like to live in the forest. Like, it's not about that. I think everybody knows it's not about that. This is about the future of Ireland. This is about protected land being destroyed. If protected land can't even stay protected, then what's left? I feel sort of guilty in a way for having come out of prison, but me personally, I'm not strong enough to have stayed in there much longer.
Tony's so strong, and here I am going leaving, and Tony's prepared to stay in here and not to sign any oath because he will not disinherit himself from the Irish land. You know, it's his land, the Irish people's land, it's a nature reserve, and he's so right. As I said, like, I'm undercover here now, you know. I got this thing on here, covering me up, you know. Babylon come along. I ought not to be doing that. You know, I'm trying to protect these trees. I ought not to have to be running for fear of arrest, for fear of a prison sentence.
Tim, you've been covering this story for a couple of years. What's your perspective on it now, having seen the way it's developed, gone through the courts, the jailing of young people who never have seen the inside of a cell before?
At the end of the day, when it's all over, history will probably be kinder to the eco-warriors. They're making a point that a nature reserve is not a good place for a highway.
When the tree roots are damaged, a battle begins. And generally speaking, if you get a big impact like this, the tree dies, but the battle can go on for maybe 10 years, and then you see the impact. You know, by then, of course, some people anyway, have forgotten what caused it, and it's just, oh gee, they must be old trees, and they just died. You know, like the way you might just die yourself for some reason. You know.
2 of the 4 protesters who remain in prison began a hunger strike to protest the destruction of trees in Ireland's First Nature Reserve, and also for having been imprisoned without a trial. On the 9th day of the hunger strike, the protesters who remained in prison were suddenly released, without having to make any oath to the High Court. 2 of the protesters had spent 7 weeks in prison without receiving a trial date.
Before they wanted us to make an undertaking not to walk through our own land. Now we don't have to. You know, we're free to walk through any part of this country that we like. It was a great victory this morning. Brilliant.
What are the 4 of you going to do now? Celebrations will continue all day. You're going to have a club sandwich.
Yeah. Oh, it's bloody nice. Myself and Dominic Wolfe have been on hunger strike for 9 days now. Lo and behold, before it goes into double figures and becomes a press story, we're out.
I like roads, but I think I should be able to have a nature reserve and a road as well. They don't have to be in the same place, and that point has never been grasped by members of Wicklow County Council.
My wife is an amateur artist. It's a scene from a nature reserve actually in California, the Will Rogers. She did this one of the days we were visiting. Just an indication that I also love trees.
Well, on a personal level, my head has been wrecked since the jailing. We've been under a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, all of us. We're getting a bit of a kicking around at the moment, but I mean, we'll have our turn to come back to, you know.
We walked in the streets of Dublin this day in a demonstration or celebration. I don't remember meeting many people joining in and joining the walk. It's one thing to be aware, but then there's another stage and to start taking action.
They took our land without our consent, the land of the people, not of government, the birthrights of children not yet even born. So don't let them begin to destroy your frontier, for the people are power, it's the people they fear.
It's time the direction of society changed a little, slowed down, got a bit more holistic, and we're here to make that point, and I feel strongly enough about making that point to go to jail, so I'm locked onto a truck, and it stops them working.
We always knew that they were going to cut the trees eventually. It's just that we're not going to let them do it without a fight.
I have seen the oak grow strong in time, the ivy and ash entwine.
In terms of how it'll all be judged, I have no problem. I know, you know, it's the right fight and that history will judge it kindly and judge the people in the Glen kindly. Their contempt orders from the court with all their names on it will be a roll of honour in the future, you know.
I have absolutely no doubt when this scheme is complete, people will say, what on earth was all the fuss about? One has to look at a nature reserve in the context that it's intended, and that is to benefit the people in the area.
If I could paint the Glen at best.
Their perspective on transport and on the environment is just way out of date. Like, and
dangerously out of date.
By looking at this, you begin to realise that the old models of progress are obsolete and that we have to begin to look at things in a completely new way.
A Glen lost in Ireland is a part of Europe's heritage lost, a part of the world's heritage.
This planet is being killed. We're coming to a borderline now, whereas if we let it go much further, we've lost. The planet's dead. And we've got to really stop them now, like, you know.
We, as a people, all over the world, as a species, we need to re-examine our willingness to be subordinate to hierarchical structures which separate themselves from the things which are fundamental to our existence and fundamental to our reality. As long as they do that, they cannot be trusted to look after our well-being. And the only way that we're going to change the whole global situation is by people power, people getting up off their asses and doing things to improve the quality of their life or of the lives of people that they care about.
How much does it take? Like 13 people locked up without trial for doing nothing except for trying to save trees peacefully. How much does it take? Will it take deaths?
That's the start just slow